Hello guys, on today's episode we have with us founder of ISP, Mitesh Smart. Mitesh sir is an entrepreneur for the last 25 years and he has built two successful companies. He lives in America and in this episode I touched upon some interesting topics with him like how was America back in 1980s, why entrepreneurs needs to stop doing all the work in order to build a company. He also shared information about one system named EOS, which can help any aspiring entrepreneur or young entrepreneur in growing and scaling their company. We also talked about his hobby of surfing and how it changed his life. Make sure you subscribe to our channel. If you enjoy this video, then please do drop a like, share this video with your friends and family, comment down your favorite parts from this episode, and please tell us how we can improve our video. So on that note, Mitesh Smart on the Entrepreneur Talk. Hello sir.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Welcome to the Entrepreneur Talks.
Thank you.
You moved to America when you were 7.
7.
Yes. So like as an Indian kid.
I was forced to move. Yeah.
Right. And it was during 1980s, I believe.
It would have been about 77, I think. 76, 77, yeah.
How was America back then and what were the different challenges you faced when you moved from India?
Well, I was pretty young back then, but, growing up, I think, I don't think I consider it racism, but there was definitely a notion that Indian people were not intelligent and they looked more like gas station operators and convenience store owners, and there was a lot of people that made fun of Indian people. Of course, I got made fun of in school all the time. Got my ass kicked quite a bit in school. But I think it's come a long way since then. America has come a long way. The U.S., I think the world has come a long way. And I think it's probably due to just new generations of people, that are trying to be more accepting to all humans. And now I think, Indian people have a lot more respect. They're looked at as top business people, doctors.
When you started your first business, I think in 1997?
Yeah, that's right. The first engineering company was around 97.
So how did that idea come along?
Well, that's an interesting topic. I was working, actually for a company that was providing design services to NASA and to another launch facility next to NASA called Cape Canaveral Air Force Station. So, and I worked there for about 3 years, and I was able to design an amazing few projects, and I was probably one of the hardest working engineers. One day I went in and I asked that I needed to get a raise. Just had a child. I think my son was maybe 6 or 8 months old, and I said, it's a little tight at home, and I've been working a lot, and I also got my professional registration, which is a big deal, and I should be making around 40,000, and I just had asked for a raise, and they said, well, this is not the right time. And meanwhile, they just built this huge building. The owners are driving really nice cars all of a sudden, and I also, that day, it was like a party that we do once a year. And so they said no, and you're supposed to go home and then come back in the evening for the party. I was a little bit late, and when I came in, they said, oh, here's our engineer of the year. And they gave me this little plaque, and I still have it. And that plaque started my journey. So, engineer of the year, that's what it said in my name. And I was like, I got to do better. I got to do better for my family. I got to do better for me. And the next day I went in and I just put my resignation in. And I said, I'll give you 2 weeks if you want, whatever you need, I'll be here. Even if afterwards I can stay, come back on hourly. But the next day, that was it. And I just went out and started knocking on doors to see if I can get design business, things like that. And within 3 months, I think I had my first, good client.
Right.
And within a year, I had probably about $50,000 in the bank.
Oh, that's great.
And I said, this is the best decision I ever made. And my wife also said that.
Right.
So, yeah.
So, I think the risk-taking ability was there.
Yeah.
Because this is a very huge risk movement. In India also, wherever in the world, because your child is just 6 to 8 months old, you are trying to get good amount of money to your home, and leaving the job and starting your own business is a very big step anywhere in the world. What are the other hobbies that you do in America?
Well, I picked up a hobby a few years ago for surfing.
Oh, that's great.
And I do that almost every day when I'm home.
All right. So, tell me more about it. Because I only saw surfing in shows and, films only.
Yeah.
So, that's kind of a dreamy thing to do as an Indian for me.
I didn't think I would ever do it because, again, it's about facing your fears.
Yes.
And risk-taking, I guess, So I have a...
You are a risk-taker, yeah.
I guess I am. But I had a huge fear of the ocean. In fact, we lived an hour from the ocean, and I never liked to go there. When I lived in Orlando, I just never liked to go to the beach. I was like, oh, you're going to get dirty. And also, I just figured I want to have a much more relaxing life. So we moved out there, and probably within 2 months of moving out there, I had seen some surfers surfing, and I'm like, I don't think I could ever do that. It's just too scary. So one day I was just at a store called Costco, and they were selling surfboards, and I'm like, let me just buy a surfboard. So I bought it. I went out there, and I looked like an idiot probably for 6 months because I couldn't even, when you first get out there, you couldn't even balance sleeping on the board. You just tip over. So probably last year, I slowly I got better. I remember when I caught my first wave and I actually stood up and I was like, holy cow, I'm walking on water. It's like, wow, this is cool.
How was that feeling?
It's an amazing feeling because really, I like to go and it's just me and nothing else out there. Nobody else. Sometimes I go with a friend of mine, but usually I go out there and I really learned how to focus, because there's nothing else except the waves that are coming.
It cuts you off from the outer world.
That's right.
For that amount of period of time.
No phone, no cell phone, no nothing, no people, no Netflix.
And after you do your surfing, what is your head look like? Okay, now I'm in a better space, or what does it look like when you're done with your surfing?
I think it's helped me calm down. Like I'm even I've always had a little bit of a sleep issue, but now I feel much more rested. When I sleep, I think I've become more calm, and I don't get upset when things aren't going my way. Because I think you learn that when you have no control over the wave and what it does to you and what's going to happen, I think you give up a lot of that feelings that I have to control these things. I have to make sure everything works perfectly, or else things aren't going to work. But I think surfing's taught me a lot about losing control and gaining focus. So it's
focus on what you can control and let go all the other things that not in your hand.
That's right. And focus on the task that you're doing. I stopped multitasking. I think it's the worst thing you could ever do is multitask, because you're working on 2 or 3 things at the same time, and all 3 of those things are not getting the full attention. So I don't like it. I like to just, this is what I have to do, and this is what I'm doing.
Right. Surfing seems very fascinating.
I'll have to take you. I'll teach you. It's fun. We'll go to Goa. Best waves in India so far. I've been to Chennai. I've been to Goa.
Right, right. So, like coming back to your like entrepreneurial journey, you started ISP in 2018.
Yeah.
You had your business before that also. So, like, what were the mistakes that you told to yourself that okay, I'm not going to repeat those mistakes in ISP?
Well, first of all, I was way too involved in mill and engineering, meaning I was doing all the engineering or a lot of it. And so I never had a chance to grow the company. And I thought that was the right thing to do. And when I bought RTM, I was lucky enough, when RTM bought me, I was lucky enough to be kind of underneath the wing of the CEO of that company. And I watched him, and he's a brilliant, brilliant CEO. And one of the first things he's told me is like, you got to stop doing all the work, you know? And I was like, oh, okay. And then I understood afterwards that if I'm doing the work, I don't have time to build a company. I learned this also, you know, what's helped me is I learned this thing called EOS.
So can you explain a little bit more on this?
Yeah, it's called Entrepreneurial Operating System. It's a system developed by a gentleman named Gino Wickman. And again, I was lucky to learn it, you know, from my RTM. We were just getting involved with it, and I picked it up and I was like, wow, this is interesting. You know, if you have a leadership team and you take some time out of the business to work on the business and you set goals, you know, I think it'll work. And so we implemented it when we first started ISP here. So you set a 5-year goal. You know, ours is 555 people in 5 years. We're halfway there, you know. And we set that when we had 3 people.
Okay.
You know, and then you actually make realistic goals for the 3 years, the 1 year, and then the quarter. And they all lead up to that 5-year goal. What do I need to do? You know, what does our leadership team need to do this next quarter to get to our annual goal? So, you know, our current annual goal is 230 people, and we're about to reset it. The other thing I learned is you have to get out of the business. You have to spend the money. You have to spend, it's an investment. You have to take your leadership team and get away. And because inside the business, you're still watching and, you know, multitasking, focus is not there. And then the next thing you do is since we don't have we're not a Fortune 500 company or a publicly traded company. So we actually announce our goals to all of our employees, and we're very transparent of where we're headed. And then, you know, you have this feeling that, okay, now we got to get to those goals because we just told all our employees we're going to get there. What are they going to think if we don't get to our quarterly goal or our annual goal? They're going to lose faith in us. They're going to lose faith in me. You know, so we're always making sure that we're getting there. I think, you know, what I understand is the reason he developed this is because I would probably say 95% of people in business, they don't have an education in business. You know, they have an education in engineering or medical.
They are doctors or they are
restaurant, whatever you want to call it, but they're business owners, you know, and there's income, there's expense, there's all this stuff that's related to a business, right? So you don't learn about that, but, you know, they're forced to learn about that. So this system simplifies how to set up a business plan. It simplifies how to set up a structure and a leadership team, and so on and so on. So I recommend it for any entrepreneur that wants to become an entrepreneur or a young budding whatever entrepreneur. I recommend you read the book Traction, and you go ahead and go on EOS, and I don't work for them, but you go on their website, EOS Worldwide, and you just try to start learning, you know. And if you're a business that's already running and you haven't been able to grow, you know, like my first company, we grew maybe 20 people, you know, but now I was like, if I would have known EOS back in 1997, that would have been a 1,000-person company, easily, 20 years.
You are working with Indians right now also. You have a team of 250 Indians. What are the things that you can tell to them that they can take from American entrepreneurs and professionals?
That's
Things that we can learn from them.
Yep. So what I learned when I came to India is we're really good at following directions. We're really good at, hard workers, intelligent, and especially the youth of today. Most of our employees are under 30. They're so calm and relaxed and focused more. Focus maybe not as much, but quality is something that, and I think you see it all over India, not just in business. I think when you see the work done by Surat Municipal Corporation, somebody must have said at the end of the job, "Chali rahe hai," and they just said, thank you, chal. And that mentality is what sets the US aside. Perfection is the only thing that they want. And it's very hard for people to fathom that. It's like, what? I did everything, Yeah, but you got a lot of mistakes, and it was very hard in the beginning. We had a lot of quality issues, as many firms, working from India. They're hard workers. They'll work all night, all day if you tell them to, which we don't like to do that. That mentality, I think, has to be changed.
Right. Coming to the last question of our podcast, one advice you want to give to a budding Indian entrepreneur, and one advice they should ignore?
Definitely ignore advice, because you'll get a lot of people telling you it's going to be too difficult. That's the first thing. There's too many obstacles. There's too many difficulties. So I give the advice to everybody, ready, fire, aim.
Right.
So don't just take, a year planning and doing, just get in, fire the gun. You're not going to hit your target, but you can calibrate later and you can aim later. So ready, fire, aim.
Right. So thank you so much, Mitesh sir, for doing this. It was a great time talking with you, and I hope our audience learns from this podcast. If you enjoyed the episode, please do drop a like, share this episode with your friends, and tell your 3 learnings from this episode. Anything you want to say?
Surf's up.